Can I ask you a question? When is the last time your soul has felt quiet, still, at peace, at rest? My name is Shelly Junkin, and I'm part of the Rooted Tool Shed, and we're continuing our deep dive into Psalm 23. We've talked about the Lord as my shepherd, who our shepherd is, what a shepherd was in ancient times, our defender, our caretaker, our guide. We learned about who we are as sheep and why God compared us to sheep, that we're defenseless, we're prone to wander. We basically need guidance, we're defenseless. We talked about I shall not want, and I shall not want was such a powerful one. It was about when we know who we are, we're like sheep, and we know who our shepherd is, we trust our shepherd. We trust that our shepherd knows what we need more than we do, right? And our sermon today at church, our pastor talked about how we see a door, but God sees what's on that other side of the door. Sometimes we walk through doors that we're not meant to walk through. And so when we are close to our shepherd and we are looking for our shepherd to guide us, we're going to experience more peace in our life because we're going to be depending on him, right? Okay, so we've got the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Then we talked about he makes us lie down in green pastures. And we talked about the fact that sheep need to be, they need to feel safe. They need to feel fed. They need to feel void of any kind of stress with each other, stress with their physical body. That really pinpoints how we are as humans, right? We're always in some kind of trial or tribulation for the most part. We're always going through something, whether it be small irritants or something big. But when we know that our shepherd is guiding us, we can take time to lay down in those green pastures and get rest. So then it says, he makes us, he leads us by still waters. All right, we started out our whole series on that when I talked about I had something happen in the middle of my workday and how I knew that God draws us to those still waters and that's where we find peace. I wanted to run home and just sit by those still waters, but I sat at my desk and I sat by those still waters. So today I kind of want to take you through a story that I had about how I didn't go near those still waters, and then when I went near those still waters, what happened in my life. So this is a true story. I have it journaled, and I'm gonna actually write a little bit more about it in a future something. I don't know exactly what, but it was literally crazy. So I, as a young mom of 3, I ran down the stairs and I landed on a marble. It hurt. I went to the doctors. They said, after a while I went to the doctors. I tried to basically take it on my own for a while, but it didn't work. The pain was so bad. I finally got in and I saw my doctor and he said I broke my sesamoid bone, basically the ball of your foot. I broke it and there was nothing I could do about it now unless I just wanted to have it removed, but I should sell my treadmill and I should do like swimming and biking for exercise. So I continued on with this pain for about a year and I finally just couldn't take it anymore. So I went and saw an orthopedic surgeon and he said, let's do an MRI. I just want to see what we got going on here. And I'm like, well, I know what's going on here. I can tell him the whole story. And he goes, I just want to rule out some things. And when he said, I want to rule out a tumor, my brain went into a tunnel. It literally made me feel like I was dying of stage 4 cancer, that I had about 2 weeks to live. And I don't know what happened. I let the enemy get to me. I certainly was not fixed on my shepherd. I was looking at the coyotes, as we talked about in some previous episodes. And I ended up losing like 10 pounds in 3 weeks because I could not function. I was so self-absorbed with this anxiety. And maybe you've never had an anxiety attack or dealt with this thing that just overtakes you, but I did. And I was a mom of 3. I was working. I had some major events coming up just for witnessing. I could tell you about that later. But anyways, I was so full of anxiety and I finally got so overwhelmed that I fell to my knees and I said, God, I can't take this anxiety anymore. I'm trying to trust you. I don't even understand what's going on, but I was just consumed. And I audibly in my thoughts, so it wasn't like I can tell you I heard a voice from down the hall, but audibly there was this voice that came out of this this cry from me that said, Shelly, if you are a representative of me, I may need to send you into territory that you don't typically go to, that you don't necessarily belong to. I may need you to do something, talk to somebody that is outside of your normal daily life. So just trust me. I didn't know what that meant, but I said, okay, I'm going to have to trust you because I can't deal with this anxiety anymore. So I had this weird peace come over me, and I'm not going to lie and say like all of a sudden everything was sunshine and roses, but I had a peace. And so the day of my MRI, I took my Purpose Driven Life book. It was at that time when it was a new bestseller, and I had a few chapters to finish, and I went there and I was reading my chapters. They call me back, and the guy that brings me in looks at my book and says, hey, what book you reading? What is that about? And I kind of gave him a brief overview, and he goes, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here. I have so many questions. And he went on and we talked. I had to come back later for the second part of the MRI, and I was able to bring him a book, and he told me that he just couldn't believe that he stumbled upon me that day. You guys, it was crazy. It was so unreal to me. I literally was like, you're never going to believe this, but I felt like I was supposed to meet you today. And he goes, yeah, same here. Anyway, long story short, by the end of this MRI, he looks at me and he goes, now which foot is the problem foot? Again, like he was looking at the contrast MRI and all that stuff. And I said, it's my left foot. And he goes, yeah, it's no different than your right foot. I don't even see anything. From that moment on, in time, I've never had that pain again. I kid you not. I can ride a bike. I rebought a treadmill. I can run. I can jump. I can hopscotch. I tell you all of that, you guys, to say it really wasn't until I was able to get myself to those still waters before God and sit down and go to God that he spoke to me. He wasn't going to compete with my busy craziness in my head, which I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody if you have that, because it's not like we're crazy, but we can get inside ourself. When we get inside ourselves and we lean on our own understanding and we lean on ourselves, we can get in these predicaments. But it is when we can truly get outside of our own selves, go to our shepherd, fix our eyes on him, cast our cares upon him, where he can have that time to speak. You've got to create that margin. You've got to create that space where you can hear him. He is not going to shout over the distractions in your world, even the distractions in your mind. You've got to settle yourself beside those still waters and let him speak to you. And it says in Psalm 26, I'm just remembering 26, I'm looking right here because I wrote it down because I knew I'd forget it. And I'm sorry, it's 46:10. I love this verse. Be still and know that I am God. You guys, that's all he's asking us to do. Be still. Create that margin. Create that space. Run to him with your problems. Run to him with your thoughts. And know that he is God. He is your shepherd. Fix your eyes on your shepherd. He's not going to take away all the trials of life. That is part of this world. But he says, I will be with you. I will walk you through those valleys of the shadow of death that we're going to talk about soon. So take that with you. What do you need to leave at the cross? What do you need to hear from God today for? Create that space. He's already stilled those waters. You just have to go alongside, sit with him, and just listen. He will speak. I hope this message touched you guys. It's been one that has changed my life in terms of that marble story. And I really hope that it brings you some kind of resolution to run to our shepherd. Until next time, God be with you. And please share this if this blesses somebody. It's all I do it for. Again, have a great week, and I look forward to finishing off our Psalms in the upcoming weeks.